You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to give you the inspiration you need to get started in the outdoors or keep moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Hey friends, thanks for listening in today. I said on Friday I would have the big announcement today, and I just spent the last couple hours creating it. However, there's an IT glitch, and it's not going to happen until Wednesday. I think on Wednesday it's really going to happen. Sorry about that. Anyway, I can't wait to share what I've got going on. The opportunity for the Adventure Sports Podcast family to make a real significant difference in the world. It's going to be fantastic. But speaking of someone that's making a significant difference in the world, Isaac Kenyon has joined us to share all the wonderful things that he is doing to make his difference in the world. So without further ado, here we go. Hello friends, and welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. Today I have returning guest Isaac Kenyon. He was on back in episode 1098, so not that long ago. And I'm just going to be really candid. I really enjoyed the conversation with Isaac. We had a great time, and I love what he's doing. But when I produced the episode, I thought he had more to say. And I probably took up too much of the bandwidth. So I said, Isaac, come back on, because we didn't get to cover it all. And I'm glad to have him here again today. Just so you know a little bit about him, if you didn't hear episode 1098, he believes in using adventure as a way to promote lots of good things, like mental wellness, for one. He also is an inspirational speaker on corporate events and other places. And here's his adventure resume. I'm just going to read the list off of his website here. Pedal for Parks, 40-day Atlantic row, where he rode across the Atlantic. World record indoor row, which is he rode a rowing machine for over 3 days, nonstop. He summited Kilimanjaro. He did a relay swim across the English Channel. He has a world record indoor tandem row as well. He was the first to run the Welsh Three Peaks. He, of course, runs marathons all around the world. We were just talking about he's headed to Vancouver to do that here in the near future. He did an Ironman with 15 kilograms strapped to his body. And we're going to have to talk about that one a little bit. We didn't touch on it last time. That's 33 pounds of weight that he's wearing while doing an Ironman. I want to hear about that. A triathlon world record. Don't even know what that is. World record pool swims. I guess the point is Isaac does a lot of things to promote a lot of good things. So Isaac, welcome to the program.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to be back on.
Well, last time we got started is the way I feel about it. But I don't really feel like we got to dig in very much. And with all of those adventures, I don't know really exactly where to start. Let's talk about the Ironman with the weighted vest. Because that one we just barely touched on last time, and that will give people some context for what you do and why.
Yeah, let's get started with that one. Possibly the hardest challenge I've ever done in my life. And that is a statement saying quite a lot. I've rowed across the Atlantic Ocean, and I would consider the Ironman harder. And people with the weighted vest, and people say, "Oh, that's very shocking. 40 days out at sea in a team of 4 in a tiny little boat, and you're saying a 1-day endurance event by yourself was harder." The reason why I say it was harder was because I was doing it completely solo. I was on my own. I had no team.
Oh, really?
I had no connection. I had nothing else, just my inner strength and myself. And a lot of the challenges and expeditions I've done in the past, like the Atlantic Row crossing and Pedal for Parks, which was a cycle across the UK, but also included cycling over water, which I spoke about in the previous episode. Those were team challenges, and you have a lot of compassion. You have a lot of people to kind of help you, lift you up. But when you're on your own, it's really tough. And
right.
The game of the Ironman with the weighted vest was a metaphor, a physical emblem metaphor for the struggles that particularly men go through in their mind when they're having poor mental health episodes. And what the metaphor is, when you're struggling with poor mental health and you don't act on it to improve your well-being, take some form of action to support yourself and improve your well-being, the weight of the struggle increases over time. And you can go from having a lot of stress at work to continual stress, which then moves into sort of anxiety and maybe depression. And then that continues, and that can lead to suicidal thoughts or something like this. And it just can keep getting worse for you if you don't take action to try and improve yourself. The weighted vest Ironman was 15 kilograms strapped to my body. And an Ironman is quite a long distance, and people know that the full Ironman is significant. It's 3.8 kilometers swim, I believe, followed by a 180 kilometer cycle ride, and then running a full distance marathon, which is 42 kilometers. And wearing a weighted vest of 15 kilograms is that metaphor of, if I don't take off the vest, as in deal with my mental health struggle, the weight just gets heavier as the event continues. So where I was swimming with the weighted vest, I would get out and it was soaking wet, so it had additional weight, and then I had to take it on the bike. And I'm still carrying this vest. I'm getting weaker and weaker as this event goes on, a bit like mental health struggles. You get weaker as the days go on when you're not dealing with your mental health struggles. And the vest continues to stay the same weight, but it feels heavier and harder to deal with. And then by the time I finished the marathon, I couldn't wait to rip that thing off me. I was so in pain. I've never... There was many times I felt like giving up. More times I felt like giving up on that than I did on the Atlantic Ray. Must have gone through the sequence of don't give up in my mind around probably once every 5, 6, 7 minutes. It was just so painful towards the end. So I do say that is probably my hardest challenge to date at the minute. And the reason why I took it up was because mental health is probably the biggest challenge of our time right now. There's more people dying from mental health than anything else. In terms of specific causes, there's a lot of statistics around that.
Well, Isaac, that's very, I'm going to say illustrative, for lack of a better word. I mean, I get it. I've had episodes in my life, of course, I think everyone has, when just the weight of the world feels like it's on your shoulders, and if you don't do something, I mean, it can really drag you down. And I actually can't imagine, I mean, just doing an Ironman is an amazing feat, and I know a lot of people have done the Ironman triathlon, but every time I meet someone who has, I'm just kind of blown away, because it's such a grueling thing to do. But to do it with an extra 15 kilograms strapped to your body, 33 pounds, I mean, how did you even keep your head above water during the swim?
Well, that in itself was a huge challenge, and I spent a long time training for being able to increase my core strength to withstand the weight that would be laying on from my back, pushing me down. So when you're swimming, of course, you want to try and keep your body above water, or at the surface as much as possible. You need to engage your core. But the other game that you had to contend, because it was a vest, there was weight over my shoulders. So for every rotation and lifting the arm up for an arm pull stroke, you had to also lift weight like a dumbbell. So every single stroke was a dumbbell lift.
Goodness. I
know, yeah. And I obviously I'm a trained endurance athlete. I've done challenges like this before, and I've come up with this before, and I did training, to make sure that this was safe and I could do it. The real challenge was there was no one else doing it with me. No one else was going through this with me. And there wasn't any really body to kind of shed weight on, sort of thing. Like, I can't give this vest to anybody if I failed the challenge, sort of thing. But I also tried to simulate not having someone to talk to. What's it like when you're in pain or suffering and dealing with a struggle, but also not being able to talk to anyone or even talk through what you're dealing with? Say I have a niggle on my shoulder, I wouldn't speak to anyone about it for this event. Whereas on the Atlantic Row, as soon as I had a niggle, it's like, hey guys, I've got a niggle. I think there might be something wrong with the rowing seat or something. You're all talking it through and you're working as a team. Suddenly we're all lifting each other up and we're happy again. But when you're doing it on your own, it's a totally different game. And it was definitely a learning curve for me to better understand what people go through when they're going through struggles. I have no idea what it's like when you're in the worst state, apart from my own personal struggles, but it's not the same for everyone. Everyone's adversity is different. But I was just trying to create sort of a message that it's so much easier just to talk to someone and shed the weight than carry an Ironman vest. You know, you wouldn't want to do an Ironman with a vest. You would just do an Ironman, right? If you were going to compete for an Ironman. So why do we live our lives in a way where we have this weight when we could just live our lives without the weight? You know, there is ways to remove the struggles. And for speaking out about it, working on your lifestyle, maybe saying no to things. You know, there's so many aspects of mental health that could be worked upon, so we're not carrying the weight. It's that was the story really. It isn't really a super long story. It took me almost 24 hours because I just absolutely just was almost giving up towards the end. I was walking and then stopping and walking and stopping and walking. The run took forever. And I didn't choose a fast course as well. I did it all in a national park because I thought that nature was going to help me and inspire me, which it did, but it also was a lot tougher having all of the off-road sections. I was riding a bike through sort of mountain bike terrain and it was a bit wild. There's a film about it as well. We can link that maybe to this podcast so people can watch the short film on it. See where
absolutely.
I went.
We'll put that link in the show notes. Yeah, please forward that link to me, Isaac, so we can make sure to include that. Is the film on YouTube or through your website or?
The film currently is going to be. We hoping to put it onto Amazon soon. It's going through the process of film festivals and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. So I was just getting ready to ask about outcomes. You did this for a reason. And I was going to say, well, how did that go? Are you reaching the audience you wanted to reach with the message that you just shared with us? And now you just said, oh, we're going to film festivals with a film. So that's fantastic. But what else is going on with that?
Yeah. So I've had a lot of community build from it. Lots of people be reaching out saying that since learning about this challenge you've done, they've reached out for help or looking out for support. For me, one person saying that is enough. But I really wanted it to expand, and we raise money and awareness for mental health charities or signposting, that sort of thing. One of the biggest issues going on in the corporate world at the moment is the fear of losing their job. So they work extra hard, and then there's this whole unhealthy, toxic work culture going on in the world right now. And mental health is kind of with that a little bit, where people they're afraid to speak out saying, I'm struggling with this. I've got lots of stress. I can't deal with this workload, because they're worried that their employers might think them as weak-minded. They might lose their job. They might be seen as not strong enough to deal with it. So they just get in a worse state to the point where sickness is one of the highest in the UK, I think in the world actually, sick leave, because of people just absolutely burning out and just having the worst mental health struggles. Especially in the younger generations. And this stigma needs to end. We just need to get over this and say, if you're having a struggle, it's so much easier and better for you to just speak out, share what the struggle is, and work it out together. A team is always going to be better than an individual solving a problem. And if you have a personal problem, you might need a team to help you. And I think it's quite dangerous at the moment where people are holding it in because they're worried about they might lose their job and so on and so forth. So I'm really trying to break that stigma down and say, the courage to speak up will make you stronger in the end. If you're dealing with struggles and you can't deal with the workload that you're on, say for instance you're in an office and the workload's too much, or you've got too much going on at home right now and you need a bit of time to kind of get yourself on your feet again, then we should be able to share that, and it should be it should be all transparent and enabled. There shouldn't be a fear to. Everyone's going to have some struggle at some point. Nobody is a robot. No one is perfect. Everyone is going to have some sort of struggle. But we seem to act like we're all doing fine when we're not always doing fine, until the last moment when you just can't handle it anymore and you just quit your job and you end up God knows how much trouble. So prevention. My message is always prevention's better than cure. Better to have taken the weighted vest off before doing the whole Ironman. and just do an Ironman without the weighted vest and take the weight with you and do you know what I mean? That's kind of it. Prevention's cure, speaking out instantly or as fast as you can to get support. You might not get support on the first conversation, but it's the starting blocks to a road to recovery or whatever's going through in your mind. You might get some form of help in this way, but conversations is always what humans have always done. We've always been very communicative, species where we've always worked together and we're stronger as a team.
Oh, absolutely. Isaac, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I published a book almost a year ago. It's been out for a little less than a year. And the purpose of the book was to address the same thing that you're addressing with your weighted Ironman, and that is to encourage people to live better lives, to have opportunities to improve their life experience, to have meaningful, joyful lives, right? And the book's called 99 Words. I bring it up because I wanted to mention one thing from it, and that is there are breakthrough moments when it comes to understanding life and our interactions with it, when it comes to our personal joy and living meaningful lives. Sometimes it takes just the right conversation or series of events or personal discoveries to make a breakthrough that can change things drastically. So I know that some people out there are like, well, I've tried talking to a buddy or I even went to a counselor for a little while. I'm not sure if that, don't give up. Because when you find the breakthrough, things can change quickly and wonderfully. And I gave some examples of that in the book, but I really believe, Isaac, that a lot of the problems that we encounter in life on this level are the result of not really understanding what to believe. We don't have a foundation to stand on, and once we establish that foundation, something that works for our lives, it makes it so much easier. Maybe that's part of the breakthrough, is sorting some of that out. I don't know. But good on you for doing that and pulling awareness toward what is a very, very critical need in our society. And as you mentioned, it's the number one cause of death in younger adults right now, besides accidents, is suicide. And we don't know how many of the accidents may have been suicide as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly. How they report
it's a huge, huge issue. And I applaud you. Thank you for putting your energy and effort into making a difference.
Yeah, and I do talks to corporates, well-being strategies, how we can incorporate that sort of transparent, way of being when it comes to mental health culture.
Right.
When are those moments that you can share something that you need to share, and how you can share it, those sort of well-being ambassador type people in the workplace. But it's not just in company workplaces, though, that this is applicable anywhere, like your household, your community, in your village. You got a friend who's down the road and you're struggling with something, maybe they could be a helping hand. It's not just to do with in the workplace, because there's this whole thing about like workplace well-being, you get fixed at the workplace. It's not really, you can get your community as well, at home, right, in your village or city or wherever you live.
Well, so you do corporate speaking events, and they're not just on this topic, but what sorts of goals do you have when you go to a corporation and say, okay, I'm going to encourage people? I mean, that was a very, very general statement. Do different corporations ask for different objectives, or do you more have, no, this is what I provide? How does that work?
I have what I provide, and then if their objectives meet, then we work together. That's kind of how I work. I don't like to mold to something that I don't believe in. So, for instance, I'm not someone... Often I get asked, can you do a high-performance talk? We want to squeeze out more of the employees so they can do better. Right. It's, high performance. It's like, yeah, I mean, I've rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. That is high performance. I've done some world records. That's high performance. I can get high performance, but high performance comes from something that matters. And it if it's just to get finance, it's not going to drive your company forward. You need to have different values. So sometimes it ends up becoming a workshop conversation where I'm actually talking about the company's purpose and what the company actually really wants. And then the culture comes from that. And often I reject things that don't really match. I'm very focused on environment and sustainability and mental health and making sure that we have an open, happy, transparent mental health focused culture in workplaces, and also the same for caring about the planet and the environment that actually allows, and I said it in the last episode, but the only reason there is profit is because the ecosystems and the earth provides that for us, and we're kind of mistreating it at the moment. Perhaps profit may end at some point when it decides not to give us any more resources to allow profit to continue. I think those are the sort of things that I do with my corporate talks, and it's around encouragement. We do workshops, and also we focus a lot more on individual people, because a lot of the change and a lot of culture is in person. So the person listening to this podcast, I feel like I'm talking to you, the person listening. Whenever I do my talks, I feel like I'm talking to one person. I'm not talking to the organization. I'm talking to the individual. So the individuals are what creates the change, but are the ones that will benefit from what I'm talking about. It's not just like I'm talking to a brand or anything like this. It's very interesting when you step into the corporate world, because sometimes there is tick box talks that they want you to do, but I always go in as my authentic self, and this is the change I want to drive. And if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I won't. I turn down gigs if they don't fit.
Well, you think about this. I mean, if someone's part of a management or an executive team, they've got to realize that their employees need to take the vest off so they can perform. So, they want more performance, more productivity, better this, better that. Well, how about taking the vest off? Get rid of the dead weight so people can actually thrive. That's where sometimes we need to start.
Yeah, well-being, that baseline of well-being is everything. I would never have taken on rowing across the Atlantic Ocean if my well-being was bad. I wouldn't put myself on a rowing boat in the middle of the ocean if I had suicidal thoughts. You just wouldn't do it. This is the thing with an organization, or anything, a community event, whatever it is that your group is trying to achieve. If you've got people who are very much struggling, they can't put their best foot forward, your performance as a group will be weaker. So you should work with the individuals who are struggling and help them rise with their well-being to join the rest of the group, so then the whole unit is high performing. That's what high performance teams for me is. Sometimes I just get asked just to do a high performance talk, and I end up doing sort of well-being talks, to be honest.
Right.
Because it just starts from that.
Well, it makes perfect sense. I mean, if an athlete goes to a coach and says, how can I get faster? The coach doesn't say, well, try harder. The coach says, what are you doing? And how do you train? And what are you carrying that you don't need to carry? And how can we improve your stride? And, it turns into, let's look at the fundamentals, right? And get that taken care of first before we start trying to cut seconds or minutes off of a run. It just makes sense. It makes so much sense. Why? We talked a lot about this in our last conversation. But why did you decide to take this on? Why are you trying to encourage people toward better emotional and mental well-being?
I know people who've taken their own lives, close friends, and it is traumatic knowing someone who's done that. I've also had my own thoughts of doing so myself, and I've been in a rut myself, and it's a horrible place to be. And I've also been in some of the most remote places in the world and seen the impact of humans on the ecology. That's been negative, very negative. And also another thing I don't like to see. So basically I've seen a lot of pain.
Sure.
And I feel like the pain doesn't need to be necessary.
Right.
You know what I mean, right? Like, we don't need to have all this pain in the world. People, taking their own lives. We don't need all of these animals being turned extinct because of the damage, water pollution. We're poisoning the waters that they use. There's so many elements to this world where there's stuff that we could have done differently, or we could do differently, which would save lives for nature, which we are part of, us. And that's what drives me. I'm not one of those people who's going to sort of watch it all happen and be like, well, that's just what the world does. People take their own lives because it's hard. You don't have to. There's loads of suicidal survival stories. There's loads of people who've got back out of a rut. There's loads of rewilding and nature success stories of incredible locations that have been restored back to their biodiversity that they had before and thriving. It doesn't have to be the way it is, and my side, I've chosen the path of action to try and prevent and support and replenish and rejuvenate good things on this world, in this planet. That's my view. That's why I do what I do.
I don't want to speak for you here, but your efforts involve doing something that matters to you on another level. I mean, you chose adventure as your expression. If you wanted to help people, you could have become a counselor.
Yeah.
A therapist. You could have done that. You could have become a clergy. You could have done that. I mean, there are all sorts of ways that you can reach out to people, but you chose to do big, adventurous feats so that you can better spread a message. Why the adventure?
I think what we are doing at the moment is what I call business as usual. It's always been like this. So we're not going to change it. The mental health is going to continue. Business as usual sort of thing, right? So the mental health negative drive in the world is going to continue. The ecology and devastation is going to continue. What we need to do is we need to innovate. We need to be adventurers. We need to step out of what we've always been doing and try something new. So I try to use adventure as my way of metaphorically saying we need to change the way we do things.
Yes.
We need to work towards a new, innovative way of being. And yes, it may be difficult to change, but if it's saving lives, then the outcome is brilliant. If it's improving the ecology of the world, then the outcome is brilliant, in my view. So as an adventurer, I feel like you take risk, you try something new. Yes, you have to have courage. There is a lot of fear involved. And sometimes your life is on the line. And this may be sort of something that can inspire others to make small, meaningful changes in what they do. It doesn't have to be rowing across the Atlantic Ocean, for instance. That's just a metaphor of, walking through the...
Hey friends, here at the Adventure Sports Podcast, health is really a priority. That's part of the reason why for over 10 years we've been encouraging people to get out there and have some fun, because when we become more active, it makes us healthier. Our focus on health is one of the reasons that I'm excited about today's sponsor, True Diagnostic. Did you know that your calendar age doesn't always match how old your body truly is? Your biological age, the age of your cells and organs, is actually the number one predictor of your risk for serious diseases like heart disease, cancer, dementia, and more. That's why learning your biological age can be truly life-changing, and that's exactly what the True Age test from True Diagnostic helps you do. It's a simple at-home test. You just prick your finger and then use the provided packaging and a prepaid envelope to send the sample in for testing. No doctor's visits required, no labs, but you'll get great information that can help you to be healthier and understand how you're doing with your own health habits. Now, I always joke that I'm 23 years old. You've heard me say that forever. Obviously, I'm quite a bit older than that, but I'm curious to find out what my biological age is. It's kind of eye-opening when you learn that your biological age, if it's just 5 years older than your actual age, your risk for major diseases can go up by 30 to 50%. That's kind of a wake-up call. But due to epigenetics, and this is the part that really inspires me, up to 90% of biological aging is driven by lifestyle. That means the way that we eat, move, sleep, manage stress, all these things play massive roles in how fast or slow our bodies age. That aligns with the Adventure Sports Podcast so much. So I'm taking the test. I'm excited to find out the results. And in addition to my biological age, True Diagnostic also provides a personalized report that's full of science-backed steps that we can all take to slow down aging and improve our health over time. If you care about protecting your health and want to find out what your real age is, head over to truediagnostic.com and use my code ASP to get 20% off your entire order or subscription. That's truediagnostic.com. Use ASP at checkout to get 20% off. Your future self will thank you. It's crazy how easy it is to put off shopping for the holidays. I'm guilty because shopping's not really my thing. That's why I'm glad that our sponsor today, Uncommon Goods, takes the stress out of gifting with thousands of unique, high-quality finds that you won't see anywhere else. So I was just on their website. There's an SUV table that sits on the tire and props out and then against the tire, so it makes an instant table wherever you are, camping or maybe just stopping to sit and enjoy the view. Instant table, pretty cool. I'd never seen anything like that before. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone. It's not just about four-wheel drive enthusiasts, obviously. They have categories for moms and dads and kids and teens, book lovers, history buffs, football fans, foodies, mixologists, avid gardeners. You'll find thousands of new gift ideas that you won't find anywhere else. That's going to help me this year. Now, Uncommon Goods supports artists and small independent businesses. They offer many handcrafted products. They're made in small batches. And with every purchase, I love this, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice, which means they have actually donated more than $3.1 million to date. So don't wait. Cross those names off your list before the rush. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/ASP. That's uncommongoods.com/ASP for 15% off. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary.
The woods instead of driving to work and being in a traffic jam so stressed. Why don't you just walk through the nature reserve and feel nice and calm? Yeah, it's that metaphor of like, let's just change it up. Let's be a bit more innovative. Let's take a little bit of risk and let's try and make a better world. Because business as usual is not working out for us.
Interesting. So I just got back from Vancouver Island, Isaac, and we did the Wild Play zipline high ropes adventure there, which I had done before, and we kind of went back because we wanted to relive some of the memories when the kids were little and we were doing it. But there was a quote as we're gearing up to climb up into the canopy of the trees and do these challenges. There was a quote on a board there that was something along the lines of, you don't get a chance to be brave until you're afraid.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that.
And it was something along the lines of, you have to step outside of your comfort zone to learn about, how to be brave and how to overcome and how to do the things. And I just got to mention this because it occurred to me as such an interesting parallel. The course there, I'm not doing a promo for Wild Play. I just, as a experience, but we were 50, 60, 70 feet, around 20, 30 meters in the air. Not 30, but 20 anyway. We would have to do things like try to walk through a series of a dozen stirrups that are hanging on ropes, and the stirrups are swinging everywhere, and you're trying to get your feet into these without falling, and you're 20 meters up. It was actually very safe because we had a good anchor line, and there's literally no way to get hurt. But it didn't feel safe. And the point of all of that was that quite often it's a head game. We have to overcome the mental challenge of it because you're standing there and you're telling yourself, this is safe, I'm fine. But your gut is saying, I am not fine. This is not right. What am I doing up here? And you have to deal with that. And I feel like that's such a parallel to emotional well-being, mental wellness. I know that this shouldn't be such a big deal, but it's killing me right now. And we struggle with those things.
We do. We like to be comfortable as well. And that comfort sometimes creates discomfort. In a case, I think I said it in my last podcast, just like your parallel as well on the high rope, by taking on discomfort, we learn to navigate through difficult changes. And the world is always changing. And yes, we've got the rise of AI and technology coming through at the moment, which is causing a lot of mental health struggles for a lot of people. We live in a world where we need to become more resilient. Our sort of past was very much nomadic, always adventurous, moving around, experimenting, learning. You can live in a world right now where you can just stay in your room and you can order food to your door. You don't have to leave anywhere. You can work from a computer at home. It's so comfortable, but actually it makes you less resilient. So when something does change, you're not ready for it. You're not ready for adaptation as well. So also I like doing the adventure narrative too, because it inspires people to kind of get out their comfort zone and take on the discomfort as well, because that is important for resilience. Resilience is very important for well-being and and helping with community action as well. Because if few people are not so resilient, the community is not resilient, and that's not good. It's never been good for survival of the humans if the community wasn't resilient. So that's a big one too.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Well,
too.
hey, let's talk about your eco-adventure world. Do you have new eco-adventure things coming up that you could share with us? But I guess, first of all, describe what you mean by eco-adventure.
Yeah, this term is actually how I sort of redefined my own way of doing adventures. So one of the problems that I found with the way I was conducting adventures was that I was contributing to the climate change issues. I was spending a lot of time abroad in different places, and I had lots of CO2 emissions associated with that. That's one aspect how I was contributing negatively to climate change. But I was also buying brand new kit every time, having all of the best kit, sponsored kit, that sort of thing. For some of these adventures, you can have a lot of kit that's not actually so good for the planet, where I could have just borrowed or used a maybe more sustainable way. So I just looked at the way I was doing adventures, and I just thought, I'm really passionate about the well-being of humans and the well-being of the planet, but I seem to do my adventures in a way that isn't so good for the planet. So I try to change the way I do my adventures and the model of adventuring, and focus on how can I have the most low impact adventures. So I call it eco, it's like ecological, healthy for the planet type adventuring, eco adventuring, and created a eco adventure a couple years ago. We called it Pedal for Parks, which was a local adventure which was focused in the UK, local to me because I was in the UK and the team was all in the UK. And we tried to raise awareness of climate action that's going across the UK, to share the grassroots projects that need support and scale and community support. When I say support, we needed financial support for them, but also community support to get involved, volunteering, that sort of thing, because they weren't getting the funding. And we spent the whole adventure just going through as many climate action grassroots projects as possible, made a documentary of it, and we were able to show at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, which was 2021, I think it was, and loads of film festivals all over the world, and it's on Amazon Prime. And it's to show that there's actually a lot that we can get involved in for not just protecting the planet and being involved in ecological projects in the UK or in the world. Whatever, some of the stuff in the UK is obviously replicable in other countries. So what you might find in the UK, you might find in America or Canada and stuff like this. But what it was to show that there is a lot going on, because I think there was, at this time, maybe 5-6 years ago, there was plastering of headlines, climate crisis, that. It was so negative. And people were just down in dumps, like, what can I do to get involved? And there's actually quite a lot of things going on within local communities that people are just not aware of, because they're not so connected to their local communities. They're not so connected to their local land, what's going on right outside their door. And people often will just, subscribe and donate to a charity, and they think, yeah, that's me. I'm supporting the world with a donation. That's really great and admirable of someone, but there's actually a lot of hands-on things you can do in your local community. So we spent this whole adventure was really to translate a sort of environmental message that there is a lot that we can be doing. There's all these projects, they're doing great innovative things, and we had all sorts of things going on during the film, and we can put that link in the chat so people can explore. But yeah, it's eco-adventuring is about doing adventure differently. It was all about environmental responsibility. And I did it with carbon offsetting, local travel, low impact mode of transportation using bikes. We cycled over the sea instead of taking ferry and things, there was lots of stuff going on. And yeah, it translates that whole message of using adventure to be innovative, to go against business as usual. So if I'm going to a company and saying, hey, why don't we redesign how we do these products to make them more sustainable? And they go, oh, no, we can't do that. And so, well, I've just redesigned how I do my adventures. It is possible. It's just a bit harder. You just got to work on it. It's probably a way you could do it. Just because there's a little bit of hardship shouldn't stop you. You can get past that. I had to do the same with my adventures. So I just try. It's just another way of doing that message. But eco adventures is quite catching on. A lot of people are doing it, partly because it's so expensive to fly out to places now. It's getting quite fashionable, which is quite good.
I found it was one of the wake-ups in my life was when I realized that there are things locally that were really, really cool to do. And the reason, the whole idea of a staycation or something, it can be far more rewarding than you think, because we always think about the exotic vacation to the exotic location, and maybe, I'm not criticizing that, but here's the funny. I moved from northeastern Oklahoma to Colorado to go to college, and then I found myself going back to northeastern Oklahoma after a year to finish up school. Things worked out that was the better opportunity. But I had fallen in love with the grandeur and the majesty and the challenge of the really big Rocky Mountain peaks. And I just felt like it was where I had to be. But here I was going back to where I grew up, where everything felt so ordinary. But as I watched the high peaks fade in my rearview mirror, as I drove back to northeastern Oklahoma, I made a promise to myself that I would find out what that area has to offer, even though I had been there my whole life. And so I made it a point to have local adventures. And Isaac, it blew my mind. I found such fun things to do. Local rock climbing that I didn't know existed. Spelunking in caves that I didn't know was a thing. Hiking through the Ozark Mountains are just spectacular. Anyway, it just goes on and on. Spending more time on the local rivers and streams and lakes and reservoirs. And I guess the point I'm getting at is we overlook where we are.
Yeah, we do. We really do. The pandemic was pretty good for, when there was lockdowns, that was a really good time for people to see what was around them.
Yeah. Well, anyway, in my own life, that was a breakthrough moment almost for me, because I thought I can have fun anywhere. I can do adventure anywhere. Every place has something amazing to offer. And as I started taking advantage of where I was, then I was really just blown away by that. We don't have to do the big, mega expensive, travel-intensive vacations to have amazing adventures. It's better if we don't, because we would like to establish an adventure-focused lifestyle. So it's an ongoing lifestyle, not just a trip you do once every year or two.
Yeah. So less stressful having to, you're trying to save up for something, this big crescendo. And actually, you could probably get the same benefit and outcome and feeling of holiday or whatever it is right next door to where you live. The other thing with eco adventure is really interesting for a lot of people who get involved is how much impact can you make positively in the places you visit. So the other aspect of it is, being low impact, but maybe you can contribute as well to this environment that you're exploring as an adventurer. So, for instance, you were in the Rockies. You could go and create a hiking route, and whilst you're hiking, you're cleaning up all the rubbish as you go along, or you're removing invasive species, or you maybe plant some wildlife flowers or something like that to add, something to leave a positive trace rather than. Because there's this whole thing about Leave No Trace, which has been going around for decades, and I really love Leave No Trace. But I think we've gone to a stage where there's so much ecological decline and issues that there's a lot of people leaving lots of trace, that we need people to now clean up trace or go beyond Leave No Trace. For instance, I once was hiking in Dartmoor National Park in the United Kingdom, and I was hiking there. And I saw people who were just finishing up with their camping. They had their tents out and they were just putting the tents away. And they were cleaning up all of their mess. But very close to them was another campsite that didn't have any campers on it, but loads of trash. So there was a camping going on over there. These campers left no trace. Great clapping. Well done. but then they're right across, like, they could see another trash place, but they didn't pick that stuff up.
Right.
And left it. So as an eco-adventurer, I would, camp, whatever, leave no trace, but also if I see anything around, I'd also, clear up too. And I see it as like environmental stewardship. The eco-adventure experience, it's like a term for environmental stewardship as well. So, it feels quite good to clear up more than what you've done, and also contribute positively, and then be part of the sort of the community nature recovery maybe in your area too, and something like this.
Sure, absolutely. My family enjoyed over the years dispersed camping in national forests, and so instead of going to campgrounds, we would go up a forest road and find a place where we could encounter nature in a quieter, more removed fashion. But often in these places, they've been trashed. And so every time we went, we would take a larger trash bag, and say, okay, kids, we love this place. We're going to clean it up. And so we would clean up the mess, and it was a way for my kids to understand that we can give back. Not only that we can give back, but not making a mess also matters. If you're cleaning up someone else's mess, you're much less prone to make your own. So why not? If you're walking down a trail and you see a water bottle that someone threw down, or, a Gatorade bottle, or a chocolate bar wrapper, it takes no effort to pick that up.
Yeah,
it's okay.
All of this it's just a mindset, really.
Right.
Eco-adventure is kind of, you could call it a thing you do when you go on adventures, but it's also a mindset. It's just being kind of environmentally responsible. You could be walking from your house somewhere and you see a lot of trash, and you might not want to pick it up, but if you could, that would be great. I know there's supposed to be people employed to pick it up, but sometimes it's good when people see you do it. Now, oh, that's a thing. Maybe I'll do it, or I won't throw it, and they feel guilty about throwing it on the floor again if you kind of pick it up in front of them.
Yeah,
sometimes when there's like when there's a paid person to pick up stuff, don't worry, the paid person will go pick that up for me. But when you see a general person in the public just like yourself doing it, I think it's more powerful. Anyway, that was a bit of a side quest. But Eco Adventures is definitely something that I really am focused on driving forward, because it also is quite good for well-being. You have a purpose which is bigger than yourself, which is protecting the environment, and the environment protects you. So I loved it when you said, with the kids, and then they're cleaning up, and it's easy, they will less likely make their own mess if they're cleaning up someone else's mess, because they get that message of keep this play area nice and clean because it's for your benefit too. Trying to get that message across in the most simple way, and Eco Adventures is one way I'm doing it.
So if people wanted to participate in an eco adventure, do you have a pathway for that?
We've been trying to create sort of a model for it, a way of doing it. We've got lots of blogs and ways you could do so. But really, the message is: can you leave the area that you're in a more positive way, and can you do your adventures in a less negative, impactful way for the planet? And other humans. That's really it. It's a simple message. So you can get creative with that. You can get creative, create your own sort of innovation, think outside the box. What could you do in your day-to-day commute that could be an adventure in itself that's more environmentally friendly, or what could you do on your holiday with your family that's more environmentally friendly? It's a mindset thing, really. There is obviously examples of what you could do. We've got blogs on our website, is climateexplorers.co.uk. There's our own adventures that we've done before. We also trying to instill this within the sort of corporations of their team building. So not just a high performance team building day, but also a high performance team building day that's good for the planet too.
Right.
That trying to instill it in business as well as just individuals. But yeah, business is a collection of individuals. So, it's really just on the individual level that we're really focused on.
I want to point something out, Isaac. You probably are well aware of this, but when you see someone else's trash and you make the decision to reach down and pick it up and throw it in a trash can, it's almost an act of humility. It's like, well, I don't know how clean that is, but I can wash my hands. But what happens is this: it becomes a part of who you are. suddenly you have picked up the trash and taken it to the can, and it becomes part of your identity. You say, I'm the kind of person who picks up the trash. Now, the reason I bring that up is that when you begin to reshape your identity and you realize, I'm someone who gives back. I'm someone who contributes. I matter. I'm making a small difference in the way that I can today. My life is not a complete waste. It all ties in together with the whole mental wellness approach of realizing that you can make a difference. You are a positive impact on the world, right? So even just picking up a candy wrapper on your way into the office because it was blowing across the parking lot, why not be that? Why not be that person?
Yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, the only argument I've ever heard of why not is that I'm too busy. I've always heard that I'm just too busy. I have no time to do that, and that's a whole different conversation that needs to go down with that individual when they're too busy to care about anything. They probably are sinking and need some time to breathe, and then they can kind of take it all in, right? But yeah, I think for majority of us who could do so, and it's nice, it's just feel proud to be where you are, right? It's just a nice clean environment. It's just really good. Feels good. Walk around not seeing when you walk around and see rubbish everywhere, you don't feel very excited and happy.
Right.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's just it's an uplifter, isn't it? An uplifter. So
it really can be. It really can be. So what do you have coming up? Future adventures, corporate events. What do you have in the future?
Well, yeah, there's always projects going on. So plenty in the pipeline, that I'm working towards. Mostly corporate events at the moment because it's the winter time. So often in the winter time, I do a lot more speaking. Tends to be the time where you can get involved with all the organisations setting new strategies and that sort of thing. So I end up doing a lot more in the winter corporate. But I do a lot of micro adventures, small things, to pass the time.
Sure.
Fun stuff. And then next year, I am planning quite a lot of swimming events, swimming-focused adventures. I miss swimming. Swimming was my first sport that I got into as a child, and I've been going around, all these other outdoors and adventure sports, and kind of it's been a while since I've properly got back into swimming. I got back into swimming with the Ironman event. And then I felt, I really miss this. I want to get back to swimming again. So I've got a few adventures in the pipeline with swimming, conservation, and mental health focused. And they will be first in the pool, then moving into the sea, because I need to build up some basic swimming endurance again. I need to build up into swimming endurance and my technique and things like that. So I'm working in the pool first, and then moving into the sea, and then we'll make some more impact in that space, marine space. So I'm looking forward to that.
I love the way that as you consider an adventure, you think about how can I leverage this to do good beyond just the adventure itself? How can I leverage this to make a difference and provide perspective? That sort of thing. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's far more motivating as well to get up in the morning when you've got something to drive towards as well. Some larger goal, bigger than yourself. Since I had my mental health struggles 10 years ago, every single year or couple of years, I've always got something going on that's bigger than myself. And it's something that I think can help a lot of people, having that goal that you kind of really happy about. I'm working towards this. I mean, picking up the trash is something, that's one thing. This weekend I'm with the Marine Conservation Society. We're doing a beach clean. And that's really fun.
That's great.
Yeah. But I do like these sort of larger
community.
Oh yeah. The community is massive. When you're doing beach cleans, organising ones with these charities, all the community comes down. We all get involved, and then you meet lots of like-minded people. But one of the things that I really like was just getting to was something large means that I have a long time to work towards it.
Right.
And it becomes like a nice get me out of bed project that you work towards for a long time. 'Cause sometimes you can do these sort of one day things, and then you're kind of stuck with ideas. So I like having something large to work towards.
Well said. And I heard a person once say, you don't need one thing to look forward to, you need two. Because when you finish the big thing, you don't want to crash. You want to have the next thing that you can say, yeah, but I'm going to be doing that next.
Yeah, I've had that in my early days of adventures. I did one adventure and then I was kind of stuck for what to do next. And it was a bit of a spiral where I went from a super high and so purpose driven and feeling at my best self to, oh no, like I don't know what. so I had to spend some time self-reflecting and then coming back with something else to drive towards. But yeah, since I've been focusing more on purpose, and from the previous episode, people will see here that I had this sort of mission statement that I work towards. It's gotten easier once you've got sort of your mission statement, your values, and then it kind of everything starts feeding into that. So a lot of the time we go to school, we don't actually work that out, and then we come out of school and you're kind of like, oh, I still don't really know myself. And then people go traveling and experimenting with lots of different things, trying to work out what they like, what they don't like, and eventually you get to that stage where you're like, actually, this is what I'm about and this is what I strive for.
Well, it's important to find your why.
Yeah.
You need to have a good why to navigate life. You really do. Because life offers plenty of challenges, and if you don't have a purpose, a reason for it, something, they say, no, this is what I do, this is my why, then it's all the harder. So you need to have a good why. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, how can people get in touch with you and learn more, Isaac?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone who's interested in sort of work that I do, and whether they want to do collaborative things or just want to bounce ideas and do their own thing, and then they heard some story that was helpful. Good to hear feedback. My website, isaackenyon.com, has everything, links to everything. Blogs, podcasts, adventures, my contact details, that sort of thing, the social media accounts and ways to get in touch. Yeah, I always like working with people as well on these adventures and these cause driven things too. So if you want to link up anyone, happy to link up and create some meaningful change.
Fantastic. isaackenyon.com.
Yeah.
And everything goes from there. Well, Isaac, thank you for coming back on the Adventure Sports Podcast and visiting with us today. I love what you're doing. And you are following what I believe to be the answer to the question, what gives life meaning? As you find your thing that you value and you pursue it in a way that makes a positive difference for others in the world. And that's exactly what you're doing. It's the best medicine. There's nothing better that you can do to make your life better and to improve the lives of others than to find the thing that you love and make a difference while doing it. And so I want to say thank you for your contributions. That's fantastic, man.
I'm very happy about that. That's a lovely statement.
Well, you should be. Yeah. You should be very, very happy about that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Great. Yeah. Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, and for all you listeners out there, I really do believe all these words that we've been sharing. It makes such a positive difference. If you know anyone that you think might benefit by learning more about making a difference or a life of adventure, purposeful adventure, meaningful adventure, please share this episode with them. Maybe you'll spark a fire that will make a huge impact for them, and that's what this is all about. So until the next show, find your adventure, get out there, and have some fun.